So, China is a problem for sure because they have 2 million people in their army, 2 million men. They have a disproportionate amount of males to females because China has outlawed more than one child per family as of 1987 or 88. They outlawed families from having more than one child per family because their population growth was so crazy. And in China, if you have a female child, they will kill the female child so that they can have another child as a male. They want men, they don't want girls. So they often kill their females and then breed for male children. So as a result, there's a disproportionate amount of males to females in China, and they have a 2 million man army that are sitting around doing nothing, itching to do something, and men are that way. That's just the species. We're aggressive and by nature, and we need something to do in order to satisfy our needs, our natural carnal desires and stuff. And so their army is fully and capably prepared to do whatever they need to in order to get what needs to be done, and they are definitely a problem for us because they have so many people. They have great military capabilities as well. We're not talking about any nuclear stuff. That's out of the question. That won't be permitted because we have a commander of the planet who won't permit that to occur. He doesn't mind wars of any kind. That'll happen all day long because he doesn't care about that. But not nuclear war, because that will kill the planet, and he wants to keep that. So you can forget about that. But we have other things that we'll use, standardized military machinery and equipment to maintain our position of authority, or attempt to do so. But we will be operating from a position of extreme weakness because the reality is that we have no actual value of any kind of an economic sort that is real or actual in any sense. And this, of course, is definitely a problem in any case over the long term. I mean, it's only so much that you can do with your military capacity to persuade the other nations of the world to do the things you want them to do before they no longer cooperate with you, or you run out of the ability to maintain that military presence because that's costly to do it and to keep it up without any money to go into it because we're broke. It'll very quickly and rapidly run down and be out of date and no longer first world superior capabilities will be diminished in rapid succession. So if they're not able to somehow fix the situation as they are attempting to maintain their presence militarily and get things back under control, then we're doomed anyway, because the military presence will no longer be a possibility either. And then it really will be a third world nation status that we will have come into without a doubt, because everything will represent itself in that regard. Hyperinflation, of course, is the first evidence that will be revealed to us in our society. That's the first indication of the fact that the meltdown is occurring. When you begin to feel a hyperinflation in our society about a year and a half, 2 years from now, then you'll know that it's occurring and it's beginning and it's starting and it's only the beginning of it. Then it just goes downhill from there, because then they remove that world currency trade, the dollar gets removed and replaced. Then the impact gets even more severe. Now we have nothing to sell. Now we're in debt. Now we owe everybody. If they call in their debts, we can't pay it. They know that. So what are they going to get? They're going to come and take our country. They're going to occupy us or something. I mean, China can do that. They can rein in Chinamen. It'll just fall from the sky. 2 million of them, motherfuckers, will occupy our whole fucking country. And there'll be guns and telling us what to do. I mean, can you imagine the spectacle? I mean, this is a possibility. It really could happen. It's very, very scary reality. because we do owe them $856 billion at this point of our debt. It's unconscionable to believe that that country could hold that much of our debt, that we would even have allowed that, because of the fear that they present already, the fact that they're already a threat to our stability. The fact that we would even allow them to hold that kind of debt is beyond my comprehension. It just makes the problem even further compounded into something beyond anything that makes sense. The only solution to this situation is but one, and that is that we have to change the system that we operate from, which is the Federal Reserve System that you think is a part of the federal government, but is literally a private banking institution, privately held and operated with no oversight from the government whatsoever. They do not have to do or tell the government anything. By definition, they are completely independent of anything, and they are in charge of minting and printing our currency, and we are the only country in the world to do it that way. We have the right, like every other country in the world, to print our own money and manage it ourselves through our government. But we elect to have a private banking institution do it, loan it back to us, our own money, on interest, so that we pay interest on top of that. So for what? Fiat cash on demand, so that we can pay them a fee. And it's put everything in. That's what's caused the whole goddamn thing in the first place. We wouldn't be in this mess if it wasn't for that goddamn institution. You have to understand that this is the reason why we're in the fucked up position that we're in. If it was not for this goddamn institution's existence, we would not have a problem. We would be fine. And when people finally come to realize that and can get that stupid point once and for all, and maybe they will get collectively together as a country and say, fucking get rid of that fucking thing and change it back the way it's supposed to be, like Thomas Jefferson, the Founding Fathers, explained to us in great detail about how we were supposed to do this stuff, because it's well documented and we understand it fully. This is not a mystery. Economics is very clear. It's not a difficult proposition. I studied economics myself, not very extensively, but enough to know that this is a silly situation that we have arranged for the purpose of fiat cash on demand, and we are willing to have this system as it is because it allows for all these exotic derivatives and banking instruments to be made up out of thin air. It's basically making money out of nothing, but the only people that benefit are the top 1% of the people who own all the goddamn money in the banks. So I mean, it doesn't benefit anybody in society at all, or our country. It just makes us all in shit. So there's nothing of any kind of benefit for the people of our country. That's just, you should know that. And it must be removed, the institution of the Federal Reserve System, and if it has to be done forcibly, then we have to decide together, collectively, that we are going to forcibly remove it and stop it and go into the goddamn House of Representatives and arrest every member that sits in that chamber, the Senate and the Congress, just with guns in hand. The people barge in, open the doors, and put them all under arrest, throw them in jail, every single fucking one of them, just like they did in the French Revolution, chopped all their goddamn heads off. Okay, they've done it before in history. It's not like crazy. Okay, we need to save ourselves because